Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen. Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd, ikhwatul Islam, ya ibadallah. Before I go into the point of this video, I want to quote the statement of Umar ibn al-Khattab first, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and then go into why I'm saying what I'm saying. So Umar, when he was went to Sham and like this, there was a very well-known statement that he made. He said, "Inna kunna adalla qawmin," that we were the lowest of people. I mean, they used to sacrifice their firstborn if their firstborn was a daughter, or excuse me, not sacrifice, but bury alive their firstborn if their firstborn was a daughter. And they had other superstitions with them from the time that they were in al-Jahiliyyah. And then he stated, فَأَعَزَّنَا اللَّهُ بِالْإِسْلَامِ, and then Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He honored us with al-Islam. He honored us with al-Islam. فَمَحْمَا نَطْلُبُ al-Izza بِغَيْرِ مَا أَعَزَّنَا اللَّهُ بِهِ فَأَذَلَّنَا اللَّهُ. He stated, so whenever we seek honor from other than what Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala bestowed or honored us with, then Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, as a result of that, will lower us. He will lower us. Now, I'm quoting the statement of Umar ibn al-Khattab as a precursor to what I'm going to present. Now, I have to write down the video, but I came across a video on YouTube. It came up on my feed from a channel called Pluto Too Wavy, which was a young Somali brother. And the title of the video, well, I don't know if I should be promoting the title of the video now that I think about it. In fact, yeah, I'm not going to mention what video it was, and I don't want people to go back to that, unfortunately, regrettably. But at any rate, I came across this video, and it was dealing with, mainly what was in the video were the Somali youth. And hopefully the owner of the channel, Pluto Too Wavy, I hope, one, that he sees this video, but I hope he doesn't view it through the eyes of discontent. I'm not trying to lower, I'm not trying to blast you, I'm not trying to speak ill of you in any way, shape, form, or fashion. On the contrary, I'm actually just trying to give some advice by the permission of Allah, and I hope it's received well. But I'm a person, first and foremost, I'm a Black American. When I say Black American, I'm a foundational Black American, meaning an American who's a descendant of people who were once enslaved here via the transatlantic slave trade. That's what I mean when I say Black American, right? And I visited Minnesota with a good friend of mine that we refer to as Ali Somali. And I need to give Ali Somali a call. It's been quite some time since I talked to him, but that's another discussion. And when I was there, because I went out there for dawah purposes, he took me around Minnesota, Minneapolis, and like this. And what I saw was very, very profound and very, very powerful. I saw that the Somalis had established something in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And they have something of power in Minneapolis, Minnesota by way of numbers and by way of economy. What they established there was beautiful. So much so that one of the elders from amongst the Black Americans there, who's Muslim, by the way, he said that when the Arab came to Minneapolis, Minnesota, they came bringing dunya or chasing dunya because they opened up businesses that were impermissible. And of course, we know a lot of the Arab immigrants that come here, they're usually from places like Philistine or Jordan or Egypt and other places like this. Allah knows best those Arabs who he was referring to, but he said that in a general sense. But then he said, but when the Somalis came, he said they brought Islam with them. They brought Islam with them. And I can affirm that at that time, because I believe it's been over a decade since I've been in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but at that time when I was there, that's exactly what I saw. I saw a people that were firmly rooted in al-Islam. And they were their honor, they were acquiring their honor from al-Islam. And every place the brother took me to, restaurants, Somali-owned restaurants, when we would go out to eat, masajid, we would be traveling through the city, Salah time would come. We wouldn't travel too far before he was pulling over so we can go into a masjid and pray that was predominantly Somali. We went to a mall there. And at the top of the mall, one of the floors, there was a very large musalla. And most of the businesses within that mall were Somali businesses. They took me to what brothers and sisters on the West Coast, in LA specifically, we probably refer to as a swap meet. All right, they took me to Minneapolis's version of a swap meet, and the overwhelming majority of the businesses in there, if not all the businesses, I can't say all the businesses because I didn't go all throughout the place, but every business I saw were Somali Muslims. You've seen the makeup of al-Islam on them. They were draped in it. Walillah alhamd. They were draped in it. The sunnah was on them. The sunnah was apparent. Walillah alhamd. So when I saw this video, I don't know if things have changed drastically in Minneapolis, Minnesota or not, because again, I believe it's been over a decade since I've been there. But when I saw in this video were Somali youth that were not upon the sunnah but were upon open disobedience to Allah. Music playing, and the music that was playing was rap music that was thug culture type music. Excessive profanity, excessive use of the N-word. There was even one segment in the video where the host was interviewing some Somali youth, some men, young men, and the cameraman was panned on, he was focused on the men, and then he started to drift to the left and slowly taking the brothers out of frame, and he was drifting to the left, and lo and behold, he's drifting over to, there's a sister who has her back to the camera, and she's wearing she has on a khimar, but she definitely didn't have on a jilbab. It was a dress, and it was form-fitting. And so he's drifting the camera towards her until they step in like, bro, you're not on your job. And of course they're correcting him. I don't think they realized what he was doing in terms of the sister, but they're correcting him. But of course they were using profanity. All right. And so I don't want to say that they were imitating black Americans for one reason, because it is incorrect to say that the thug hoodlum culture is black culture. That's not black culture. Black folks are not a monolith. And although some of the youth are into thug culture, and it may have originated with some black youth in New York and LA and like this, that does not make up black culture to where it could be described in that sense as if that is exclusively what Black Americans are about. So that's why, I want to kind of label it like that. At least I have to give it that type of disclaimer, right? Because when you go into the Black community, one, I remember reading a statistic years ago that the thug culture within the Black community is only about 12%, so that's a minority. That's one. But then two, when you look into the Black community, it's not a monolith. There are numerous types of people within the Black community. We have intellectuals, we have activists, we have people that are highly educated, and thus forth and so on. You get the point, right? The main point that I'm making is because there was clearly an imitation of a people happening here. To imitate a people is one thing, but to imitate the lowest quality amongst the people is something else, on top of the fact that you're a people whom Allah has honored with Islam, not for decades, but for centuries. For centuries. And so it's not correct to respond to this blessing that's been bestowed upon you in that manner. And so, for the brothers that may be into that, listen, man, the honor and the nobility and like this, it's not in that. The honor and nobility is in al-Islam. Something that your forefathers, your grandfathers, your fathers, and like this have been reared upon, and I would imagine have attempted to rear you all upon. Allah says, "Man kana yuridu al-izza, falillahi al-izzatu jami'a." Whomever amongst you that wants honor, then with Allah belongs all honor. That's who we find our honor in. We don't find our honor in other things. Especially if in these other things there are matters that are clearly prohibited. There are matters that are clearly prohibited. So you've been gifted. You've been gifted. Alhamdulillah, I've been gifted too. Some of my people have been gifted. 49% of new converts to al-Islam are Black Americans, walillah alhamd. So Allah is bestowing His favor upon us in that regard. We cannot, as Muslims, regardless of what your ethnic background may be, we cannot respond to this blessing and to this gift that's being given to us in a manner that would be described in the text of the Quran and Sunnah as ungratefulness. Why? Because who is it that you're being ungrateful towards? You're being ungrateful towards one, regardless if you like it or not, but each day that passes brings you closer to the meeting with Him. And if it was to be asked to you, tell me when, where, and how you're going to die, you wouldn't be able to answer that question. So in other words, you should have a sense of, all of us as Muslims, regardless of how young we are or how old we are, we should have a sense of urgency of correcting ourselves with Allah. And we shouldn't imitate people who are stuck in a form of jahiliyyah, yani in a form of disobedience to Allah. Man tashabbaha biqawmin fahuwa minhum. Whoever imitates a people, then he is from them. And what I saw, this imitation in reality is more than just outward appearance. The outward appearance, imitating a people in outward appearance, a disbelieving people, an ignorant people, a immorality loving type people, just imitating them on the zahir, on the apparent is bad, but imitating them in their outward appearance plus imitating them in their corrupt behavior, then this is the formula to defeat. So I'm gonna be honest, I don't know a whole lot of Somali du'at upon the Sunnah. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know a whole lot, but I do know of one, the brother Pluto 2 Wavy. If you can, get in contact with a brother named Ilyas Adarus. I believe he has a YouTube channel, Ilyas Adarus. Adarus, I believe is spelled Aidarus. Get in contact with the brother. Connect with the brother. He's a brother that studied overseas. He benefited from his time. Get with the brother. You'll be able to relate to him because he's from your people. You may not be able to relate to me and what I'm saying to you, but you should be able to relate to him. Get with the brother. Seek some advice from the brother. He'll be able to give you some good tawjihat, some good direction and like this. And he'll be able to give some of the other brothers and youth who were in your video that you may interact with, he'll be able to give them some good advice, inshallah. But don't counter this blessing with what will be described as ungratefulness. Don't counter that blessing with ungratefulness. This is your brother Najeeb al-Anjelesi, conveying, my genuine and sincere advice to you, to Pluto 2 Wavy, and the brothers and sisters that were in that video. And again, I hope that it's not looked at through the eyes of discontent and scorn. Who was this guy to tell me? Who does he think he is? I hope it's not looked at from any of that, from any perspective of that nature. And I hope it's not looked at from the perspective of, I feel disrespected, and that's what for so on. I'm not trying to do any of that. So that's what my nasiha. And with that, subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.